levels are so high, right? Because a lot of people are dealing with, just unhinged energy, right? It's not just because of life itself. It has to do with the cosmos, right? The precession of the equinox. We're entering into a new age and everything. So there's a lot of energy, and people need to learn how to mellow that out. So we have practitioners in our community who have magical hands. By show of hands, how many people ever ran into somebody with magical hands, right? They say don't let everybody braid your hair. You know what I'm talking about? Because them hands might be cursed. And vice versa, they help your hair grow. And then when we deal with the Reiki and the masseuses and the massages and whatnot, a lot of us need that, right? So I have a good brother who is going to come through and he's going to share with you what it is that he does. My good brother, Be Knowledge Allah. Clap it up for him, please.
Hey everybody. Y'all hear me good? Yeah. First thing I'm going to do is I got me a mobile business card, take a picture of everybody, pass it through. I ain't got to hand out 1 million cards. Right. Okay, so like you said, my name is B Knowledge. I'm originally from now just, what y'all call Jersey. I've been down here right over 2 years now, and going into my 8th year as a licensed massage therapist. I didn't set up a table or anything. I came to do, like you said, been to network, been to be amongst my people, and my vending is going to be my spring sale. It's 15% off of my intro price, so my introductory price is $85. 15% off of that, it's like $72, something like that, and that'll cover an hour massage. You add it up for 90 minutes, a 2 hour, or whatever that may be. So I'm gonna leave this here, and I'm gonna go into the science a little bit. What sparked me first hitting up blue and hitting up red, and there was a post Blue Pill made about fascia. Is anybody here by show of hands familiar with what fascia is? What about the craniosacral system? Okay, good. There is certain systems that have been suppressed, just like our digestive system has been suppressed through what we eat, and just like our blood system and the potential of its elevation, potential of its true consciousness that flows through it, it's been suppressed through the environment, through the institutions we've grown up in, and so on and so on. So what I call what we're going through is the real Star Wars. Can y'all say the real Star Wars?
The real Star Wars.
Okay, we here. So postural alignment is equal to planetary alignment. Hear me again. Postural alignment is equal to planetary alignment. We talk about the planetary alignments and how Mars will do this and Mercury will do this and Jupiter will do this. We know that the sun and moon have attractive power on our planet. However, we have attractive powers on each other as well. So when we come in this room, this is the type of planetary alignment. When we have events like this is the sun, moon, and stars lining up in a particular way where we can benefit from each other's magnetic powers. So when I say that postural alignment is planetary alignment, can you picture a pentagram in your head, right? A 5-point star, a hexagram, a 6-point star. We know that these represent, right, cosmic entities. However, they're more so symbolic to what is going on in Earth or these avatars. So when you look at a pentagram or a 5-point star, when you use the gun, we turn around, give me your back, you can see the 5-point star, right? You see the top of the star, you see at his sacrum or the base of his spine, right? The bottom of the star, and you can see the hips and the shoulders representing the extensions of that 5-point star. It's the same with the 6-point star. You see the top here, and the other points right here. So what I've come up with and found in my research that these ancient texts that speak on these symbols and these ancient texts that we always bring up, oh, this is devilishment, or this may be some type of high science, however you apply it, depending on where your consciousness is at, you will usually attach to something outside of yourself. But what I'm saying is, these angles of alignment will bring you into an angelic alignment if you properly line up these symbols and you relate it to the body how it's supposed to be. So when you line up your posture, you're lining up, it's an internal planetary alignment as well. Everybody cool with that? Yeah. Okay, and we'll move on to two basic systems that I just spoke about. We have the fascia system. So fascia is a connective tissue that is integrated everywhere inside the body, right? Since fascia is a system of connective tissue that house the organ systems of the body, right? It says this living intracellular structure is found surrounding every level of life in the body. So everyone's peeled an orange before, right? You see all the white stuff that's on outside of the orange that builds up over time. Your body has the chicken. Right.
The impossible chicken or the beyond chicken has fascia in it. That's that white phlegm that you got to cut through in order to get to the muscle and whatnot. That's your fascia, and we all have that.
Right, so this is all over the body. However, modern science has led us to believe that this is a dead tissue and that it's not relevant to our health and well-being. If you look into medical science, most people, they work on cadavers or dead bodies as a part of their medical training. As opposed to back in the day, there was something called operating theaters, where surgery was live and the doctors got to see live tissue and how it reacts to being opened up, how it reacts to different chemicals entering the body, how it reacts to anesthesia. And when anesthesia came along, it was boring. The clients weren't in pain, there wasn't blood spurting everywhere. So they stopped the surgical theaters and they brought us into the medical students studying cadavers. Saying that to say that why we don't know what fascia is, why we don't know what the craniosacral system is because the modern medical institution has training in dead tissue. And when this tissue is dead, it doesn't seem relevant to them. So the fascia, right, it is responsible for support, facilitation of movement, and networking in the body. It's been dismissed in most modern medical science as a non-factor to homeostasis or balance in the body. Most Western medical practitioners have neglected surgical theaters for cadavers, like I said. This means that they study dead tissues as opposed to living structures as a means to scientific advancement, right? So you see those layers, like I said, when you open the orange, you see that white stuff on the side of it, that's right under your skin. This fascia builds up, and it's not just right under the layer of the skin, it's intracellular. So if you open up a cell and go to the depths of its nucleus, there's fascia way inside there. And what science is finding is that the organs, right, are not made or grown in the body, and then the fascia extends outside of it. This structure is more like a matrix that the organs grow inside and develop inside. Therefore, when we stretch, when we do yoga, when we get massage therapy, like I'm qualified and licensed in. When we do these things, what we do is we're melting away that fascia and we're taking away the congestion and the stiffness of it so that it can open up. If you look at your muscles, right, and your bones and your joints and ligaments, a lot of them have restricted range of motion, and we work right on the ligament, we work right on the bones, we work right on the muscle. But if you could picture your muscle is inside a bag being suffocated, and if you loosen that bag up, then the muscle will move. That's the fascia really restricting that muscle. So we need to loosen up what surrounds the musculature, what surrounds the bones, and that moves me into, like I said, the fascia, or I said, what is myofascial release? Myofascia is the muscular fascia. So when we go into myofascial release, there are many, many modalities and techniques that are designed to target the fascia specifically. A lot of times it's prolonged stretches, because the fascia could take anywhere from 10 seconds to 2 minutes to release. A lot of times it's done dry, because when we get the glide with the oil, or we get the glide with the lotion we use or cream, whatever you're using for your massage, we don't get as much traction on the skin. So when you get that traction on the skin, and this is the best way I describe it. If you were to put a sheet over you, right, and I tell this to clients, any way that I move the sheet and you see the directions the sheet moves, that's how the fascia is moving underneath your skin. So imagine if your sheet is so tight, you can't stretch that sheet out. It doesn't get any movement in it. You need to loosen it up a little bit with massage. So I can go for hours. I'm going to go on. The fascia is also directly related to and integrated with the craniosacral system. You see the word cranial in there, and you see sacral. This system was supposed to be passed down as a secret society through chiropractors and through people who practice osteopathic medicine and things of that nature, and it was passed down only father to son who was an osteopath, or people who got training in it. And then more people like myself became qualified, and we get into these worlds, and we get to bring it back out. So craniosacral system includes the cranium and its bony structures, right? The vertebral column, which you call spine, right? And the sacrum and coccyx. This system includes CSF, or cerebrospinal fluid, and the cranial wave, which is detectable by palpation, right? Seeing through your hands, right? And it's similar to the breath in our heartbeat. The brain and the rest of the nervous system are surrounded by the craniosacral system and work directly together. So why I mention this, it goes back to the cadavers and the operating theaters. There was a time when surgery was live and medical students got to see live how the body reacted when tissue is actually alive. So now that they study cadavers, have y'all ever seen, everyone knows the soft spot in the baby's head, right? Now, if you really examine your children, has anyone ever felt the sutures and the lines in between their skull? With a baby, you can really feel the cracks all in the skull. And if you haven't, everyone has seen a skull, and you see these sutures in here. These lines that divide up, you know, the occiput, the frontal bone, right, peripheral, and so on and so on. And these are really joints. And the dead tissue, they seem immovable. But in live tissue, through subtle movements of massage therapy, you can move this cranium around. And the more flexibility that the joints and the sutures, right, the more flexibility or release of the fascia, right, because you have the dura mater and so on that are the levels of the fascia that surround the skull. The more you loosen with the ear for sound and psychic powers and everything traveling through your cranium. Now, if you look at dolphins and whales, their sutures are more movable in the cranium, and their sinus cavities are also more movable and wider in certain cases, and they connect through sonar or telepathy. So, saying that to say, when we get myofascial release, when we get craniosacral work, what we're doing is reaching in to the more depths of our selves, and we're pulling out the yearning to advance as a human. We're pulling out the yearning to reach more into our godhood, because what we're saying is, oh, I'm so constricted. I need to move more. And we know consciousness is about not constriction of it, but expansion of it. So, being that your consciousness is directly connected to your cellular activity, because it started with a thought. Mom seen dad, he had an idea. That idea, which was a gaseous form, right, regulated itself to a liquid form. And that liquid form went into his mother, and it went with her, and now that solid liquids and gases amalgamated into what you grew up to be. Right? So, okay, like I said, I'm going to say it again. It started at a gaseous form, or a little more subtle form than a gas, which was a thought. Right? And this vibration slowed down into a liquid form. And this vibration, which was existed in her as those eggs, they combined, right, and they made the human form. So I said that to say that the consciousness is the origin, and it's also embedded in what animates the cellular structure. So if your consciousness lives in the body and it's actually responsible for animating everything inside the body, then we know that expansion of your range of motion is expansion of your consciousness. You can touch your toes, you have access to better consciousness, because your nervous system isn't constricted, your bones and your joints aren't constricted, therefore the information could travel faster to and fro throughout the body. Like if those sutures in the brain weren't as constricted, right? You would have better ability, like how you see babies be all spaced out because they tuned in with everything going on, because their cranium isn't as restricted, and they can bring in a lot more of that information. So I'm gonna wrap up on this, connecting both of these, fascia and craniosacral system. It's my estimate through, like I said, going into my 8th year of full-time practicing, massaging all day, almost every day. This is what I do. Melanin energy pathways. Has anyone heard that term? Dr. Afrika coined the term melanin energy pathways for us to use to mean meridians or nadis, right, in Sanskrit. So, also known as meridians or nadis, this term was coined by Dr. Laila Afrika, peace be upon him. The primary function is the generation and transport or circulation of life force. Everyone know what meridians are? Right? If you've ever seen an acupuncture chart, the lines going all the way longitudinally and latitudinally up and down your body, just like the planet has latitudinal, right, lines. Okay, so these same energetic pathways exist within your body, right? However, when Chinese medicine became more Western, they switched their anatomy and physiology from a more intuitive spiritual base to a Western anatomical base. So therefore you have this number meridian, this number meridian, this number meridian, this number meridian. When it's really an unlimited amount of pathways and energy flow of consciousness throughout the whole body. But they want you to think, oh, K1, right? Heart this, and so on and so on. Yes, though that applies, we have more, like how I said, the 5-point star and the 6-point star. Those same patterns of energy alignment will release you, and we're not constricted to what you see as a modern anatomical chart. So, like I said, look up myofascial release or fascia, F-A-S-C-I-A, fascia. Look up into the cranial sacral system. This we hands-on manipulate the cerebrospinal fluid. So we're trained, just like you can hear a heartbeat. A lot of people in medicine, heartbeat, especially in Chinese medicine, you take the pulse at the wrist. Yeah, we've been trained in that. And then you get trained in feeling the breath. You know, you can put your hand on someone's abdomen, teach them proper breathing. But there's also a cranial wave. And this cranial sacral wave, it goes like a microcosmic orbit throughout the body. And when you're trained to, or your hands are sensitized enough, you can feel this cranial wave. And there's a whole world into this. Every bone in the cranium houses certain emotions, just like the organs house certain emotions. And the health of the cranium and the fascia at the top affects, as above, so below, the health down here. Sidebar, like I said, we were talking about male and female relations, right? Pelvic thrust, right, or the pelvic floor stimulation directly has a reflex to the cranial floor. You understand? So when you're moving your hips, right, the pituitary gland and the pineal gland is also vibrating at a terrific speed because the thrust in the pelvic hips vibrates up the spine and it goes and it vibrates everything at the cranial floor, but you know under the brain is the cranial floor. There's bones that sit there and it houses pituitary, pineal, I want to say thymus, and so on, right? So spinal twist, qigong, all this stuff is really working what my man Mantak Chia, he'll call that cranial sacral pump.
Right.
Okay, so right, he's ordered to preserve, like he said. I'm going on that since he said it. So the preservation, right, as opposed to ejaculation. So when it comes to, or I say it like this, because if you get deeper into the science, it's not all about just preservation as opposed to ejaculation. It's about bringing it up and rotating it and circulating that energy in the body, doing your thing, and then you can let it go because you have most of the vital force from it now nourishing your organs. And if you know the microcosmic orbit, it's the same pattern and flow that pelvic floor thrust, right, will literally thrust and vibrate the pineal floor, right, and everything that's on the floor of the sacrum. Example, when we work on cranial sacral therapy, if you ever have your sinuses worked on, headache problems, anything like that, you work these two nasal bones. If you push these nasal bones, they're directly attached to the sphenoid bone, which sits the pineal gland and pituitary gland. So by working the face, by doing face massage, by working the structures in the head, you can literally move the floor of the cranium.
Face rollers.
Exactly. Dermal. Right. So all those are all this new face rollers and all this stuff. They're not saying, but this is all stuff. This is all fascia release. All this stuff is working on your fascia. You ever see the rollers for your legs with the bumps all over them?
Right.
Though that's fascia release. All this stuff is for your fascia. Body sculpting, exactly. All this stuff. They're understanding if you move the fascia around, everything responds to the fascia. So I end on palpation. Palpation is seeing with your hands. It's the art of touch And I've learned and seen through my experience that most modern medical professionals don't know what's going on. Not all of them, but most don't really. They stay symptomatic and they don't deal with the root of what's going on with their client because they haven't touched them. They walk in the room and they out in what, 15 seconds? Oh, what you doing? You coughing, runny nose? Take that. All right, you good.
Write a script.
They used to, I don't even know if they still look at your eyes and have you open your mouth and all that anymore. But that was midway between actual palpation and hands-on detection of misalignment or hands-on detection of disease, right? We're trained to touch the back, work on your back. I see, okay, if this is messed up, well, you probably got tingling down your arm, right? Yeah, okay. Headaches are going on. Oh, that probably extends down here. So we work on sciatica, headaches, migraines, plantar fasciitis. Again, women, you probably heard of plantar fasciitis. You wear heels a lot. You see the word fasciitis, it's the inflammation of the fascia at the bottom of your foot. So, say you have to say, get into hands-on healing. Palpation is the art of, like I said, putting your hands on people to assess the conditions internally. And that's one of the main things I'm going to be pushing that has been lost in today's medical society. The brothers spoke on water. I love that. We have 1,000,001 herbalists in the community, right? I love that. However, what I'm now bringing to the community, one of the missing parts is that in nutritional counseling, you can prescribe food, how to eat to live, etc. However, is the nutrients now flowing through your body properly? Is your fascia right? Are your ligaments and bones? Because cerebral spinal fluid is known as liquid fascia. Okay, cerebral spinal fluid is known as liquid fascia. The blood, the lymph, all that are connective tissues as well, just in a liquid form. So we need palpation, diagnosis, put our hands on people to see what's going on, and combine the nutritional counseling that we have now with the hands-on approach so we can now stretch you out, get that range of motion flowing, and we can have more planetary alignment. And that's what I got to say. I'll be long-winded. Be knowledge, love. My paper somewhere has my face, my Instagram, my YouTube. I got a couple lectures on YouTube. And like I said, my spring sales, 15% off for a full body massage. I have every way to pay me up here. And thank you for your time.
Come on, clap it up, y'all. Y'all can do that. Come on. It's your cash app, man. Y'all got a full Lexus this now. Come on, man. Like, you gotta make it rain on the guard.